all right. Cool. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We're coming to you live from Cardiff in Wales in the UK. You know this guy?
Hi.
Novo Amor.
Yeah.
And I'm Josh, I'm the director of the film that's going to be premiering directly after this. Before we get into anything, just want to say there is a donate button up in the top right of your screen. That is for WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. They protect everything from our rivers, forests, seas and oceans, and all the life that lives within it. So if you could donate, it's a fantastic cause, that'd be amazing. So yeah, I mean, this is just a conversation between two friends.
Yeah.
You and I.
Yeah, I guess I should kind of introduce you a bit and say how we know each other first. Yeah. So this is Josh. He's a longtime friend of mine. We met back in 2012, and I guess let's talk about how we met. I think that's kind of
I mean, it was a drunken night out, really.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, this was like 2012. I'm 21. I'd kind of just moved back to Cardiff from my hometown where I'd been staying for a bit, and I kind of made a few new friends, and one of my friends, Griff, invited me out for some drinks, and he was like, oh, I got my friend Josh who's coming as well. You don't know him, he doesn't know you, but we're all gonna have a nice time.
Well, yeah, Griff's now a business partner, and it was one of those things where he came up to me, he was like, oh, my mate makes music, you might like it. And I was like, all right, your mate makes music. Turned out I actually had your EP on my phone.
Yeah.
I was already a fan of yours. So when we were talking in
when we say EP, this is like 2 tracks I recorded over the summer. It was hardly like an EP by that point.
But somebody, our friend Josh had sent it to me, and I was like, oh, I really like it. Turned out I was a fan of yours. And then from there, it was like, oh, that's amazing. We need to work together. And
yeah.
Then kind of from there, we just kind
of we're on this night out. We're kind of in this drinking area of this bar, and I found out that Josh runs this thing called Bedroom Live, or you run this thing called Bedroom Live, and
live music.
It's
a live music
way
session.
less seedy than it sounds. It's live music from a bedroom, and I'd been watching them all summer, and I was like, oh man, I love these. I'd love to get on one day. I mean, this is how I can like get my voice heard or whatever. And you were like, oh yeah, I'm Josh. I make Bedroom Live. I was like,
your impression of me.
So cool. Yeah, that's my impression of you. Yeah, and we kind of just became friends from there because you were making a feature film, and I was kind of struggling to make music while working like a full-time job at an ice cream parlor.
I always thought it was a cafe. It's an ice cream parlor.
Well, it was an ice cream cafe.
Okay.
Like emphasis on the ice cream. That's a fun bit.
Never got free ice cream.
Loads of free ice cream.
I'm just mad about that. But yeah, I somehow dragged you into doing not only the score but the audio mix for my first feature film, which is called The Better Man.
That's right.
And it was from that From Gold came from that, didn't it?
Yeah, so basically I was working at this cafe, I was kind of coming home every night trying to write music, and From Gold was this like little idea I had, and I didn't really have any use for it, and it was just like such a slow progress making music back then, like working a 40-hour week and then trying to do like after 5 to record and then wake up to go to work the next day. It was kind of draining, and it wasn't really getting me anywhere. And I ended up going like a part-time at my job just so I could make more music. I thought I could live on pasta and rice and stuff. But let's give it a go. And I was doing this audio stuff for you, and you sent me the film, and this climactic scene at the end, this guy like, running up this hill, he's after like this crazy night, and I was like, From Gold is going to work so good for this. So I finished the whole song for that film, and then I kind of just expanded on it more, made a whole EP around that, and that became like the Woodgate New York EP that I released in 2014.
But the thing is, we did a lot of the sort of early music videos together, because at that point, you hadn't really had anything out. So I made the From Gold.
Yeah, you made From Gold, you made Holland, you made Callow, you made Foe, you made Anchor, and you made Alps in that order, I think.
Well remembered. Yeah,
so those were like the kind of the early days of my music career, which I seem to have now. And it was like a proper good stepping stone for kind of both of us in a way, because we were both kind of like really hungry to kind of just create and do things.
It's just early stages of our careers, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the first part of our friendship was you letting me crash on your sofa for about 3 months.
Well, I mean, that was a weird bit. I somehow, again, so I think Griff made you, or convinced you to quit your job, and then I convinced you to move into a 1-bedroom apartment with me and V's, our mate. So there's 3 of us in a 1-bedroom flat.
Yeah. And like all my music gear.
Yeah, all your music gear as well.
Yeah.
Probably the best, some of the best times.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how we knew each other, now how we've known each other, then we started living together more. And
now you make a lot of music, and I poked a camera in front of your face. because you've just released a new album.
Yep.
It's kind of what we want. I wish we had the album here so I could sort of like...
There's kind of like, there's more to it to get to this point where we're sat here today with this film you've made. So maybe talk about what this film is.
Yeah, so the film that we're showing today is something that's taken, well, I guess like most of this year really to make. It started off as something...
last year.
Yeah, it started off as something completely different that was meant to include some of the touring as well. We were going to a lot of like sort of China and Asia, and then we were going to be doing sort of content and like mini films and stuff like throughout all of that time, and then COVID came in.
Yeah.
And kind of like derailed all that, and I think this was an opportunity for us to kind of make something different. So I think we had a chat. I was like, I still think there's something to be made here, more of like the journey of making the album.
Yeah, and it's almost not so much about this album particularly, just about making music in general, what the creative process feels like, and trying to get that, what it feels like in your head to create something onto film and just capture the behind the scenes.
Well, it was really interesting because I think I caught you making the album in like dribs and drabs over those like however many months, because I couldn't record all of it. It was only like when I came to kind of visit. But then it was like the in-between bits that sort of filled in, like, oh, the story's bigger than just the album.
Yeah.
It's more about how you see the process, how you see everything around you, and it kind of all like encompasses in this kind of film. But it's interesting, I guess, from my point, because I couldn't really do face-to-face interviews with you.
Yeah, so I think the film to me is like kind of like this. It's a conversation we had over FaceTime, and we just recorded the audio, and you chopped it up and like kind of almost based your film around it. Like you had your ideas of what you wanted to talk about, and then you let me narrate kind of this film that you made by using our conversation, which I think turned out great.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I'll say that you've been filming me generally for years.
Yeah.
Like there's footage from kind of 2015 on the first tour we ever went on in Germany.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, what was like 14 shows around Germany, and like nobody was getting paid really. Like everyone was just kind of there to have fun and be like, look, we get to go on tour in a van, and we like piled in a van. I had like my mate driving us around, and just kind of trying to play the best shows we could. And you were just like, I'm going to film.
It's going to pay off at some point.
It's going to pay off. I don't know.
It was great. That's the thing. Like, I love those times, and you do see those in the film. There's there's certain bits that we sort of like look into the past, and it's sort of those are the moments that it really sort of comes to shine through, and they mean a lot to me, because obviously like being part of that, but also I guess context for everyone else kind of seeing is they can see more of your journey.
Yeah.
I did find it really funny though, because obviously a big part of your journey has been like the other shows that you've done. You toured America, and you toured lots of other countries as well, where I wasn't filming.
It's almost like a shame that the film doesn't represent that side of my last couple of years. It's only kind of the old stuff and the current album making stuff.
But we did sort of manage to get around it with the thanks to lots of you actually sent in footage which we've managed to get into the film. And that could have like plugged these little gaps really, because there's shows from everywhere, from Indonesia, America, and it's just really useful to just have these little kind of snippets. So thanks to everyone for sending in your footage. But yeah, no, it's been amazing to kind of bring this film together really, because being so close to you, I guess I get more of like an insight like not many people get.
Right.
Into kind of what you do. I think there's I think maybe for a lot of creatives there's this sort of this veil, this sort of like black box that everyone kind of goes into for months, and then you come out the other side, you're like, oh, there's an album.
But you were kind of like in that black box for a while.
Yeah.
Like we lived in a house together in Cardiff here, and that was the house that Ed and I made Eres, the collaborative album, in. We just made it in that house, in my bedroom, and a couple of spare rooms around the house. There was like a room with a drum kit in. We'd put loads of blankets on the walls to like try and deaden it. Like I knew so little about kind of acoustics and recording back then, even though I'd studied it for like 5 years. And there was like another room with a piano in downstairs, and the rest of it was kind of made in my bedroom. And it was so DIY. And you were downstairs in your bedroom making films and like starting a production company. Yeah, and
it was great. That I always think there's something special when you do get like creative people like that together. It's almost like an incubator.
Yeah, that house felt very much like an incubator. Like I live on my own now, and as you know, and it's kind of hard to get motivation to do things sometimes. But like back then, it was like you wake up in the morning and like, oh, what are you working on? Oh, I'm making this kind of film. Like, oh, cool, I'm working on this track. Oh, I'd love to hear it. And it's just someone to share kind of this kind of experience with a little bit.
I was going to say, that's something that's kind of reflected in the film as well. We talk about a lot of that kind of stuff in it, but it's like you said, especially if you live on your own, it's so important to bring others into your process.
Yeah.
And like you said, in the film you discuss about how important that is to you.
The film explains a lot deeper of how I make my music than kind of people will realize. Like there's a lot of collaboration, especially gone into this album with Ed, who you know, but a lot of watchers might not. Ed Teller, he's like just a great songwriter and friend of both of ours, who I kind of met through you and another friend. And he's been someone to kind of lean on through making music a lot of these last couple of years, because he's in my touring band. We made ARS together, and you know, we just kind of naturally started writing things and sending things to each other. And I think we were both making the best music that we thought we had ever made kind of together. And it was like, I was like, yeah, I want to release this stuff. This is the kind of the music that I want to make. Because a lot of the stuff I write, I just throw away because it means something to me, but like melodically and stuff, it's like maybe not that good. I mean, I'm sure my fans would like love to hear it, but I don't know. It's not.
It's in the bin.
Yeah.
Do you find that working with someone like Ed then, in that moment where you're, I guess, because I know we got a few questions in, and one of them actually could have probably sort of talked about this. But yeah, is that kind of moment where like is sounding it off against somebody else sort of really important in those times where you're like, not sure this is actually. Not sure about this, and they'd be like, nah, stick with it.
Yeah, definitely, and I guess the film goes into that as well. It's good to have a sounding board of someone whose thoughts you trust. And like when I make music and I have like a fully formed idea, I'll usually send it to Ed, you, and my brother, and just get like feedback, because you're not. I mean, maybe you might be like, it's great, I love it, but like,
no, I've definitely told you.
Ed's going to be like, Ed's going to say no, I don't think that's very good.
It's great, mate. Yeah, everything's great.
And it's kind of what I want to hear, because.
To be fair, I do remember. I think I came over at some point, and you showed me "I Feel Better" for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And
I think you were in the toilet.
I was in the bathroom. Yeah, I was in the bathroom, and you like. I don't know whether you planned that, so I wasn't in the room when you started playing it. But I remember shouting from the bathroom, I was like, "Is that you?"
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, it's very different. But it's really like that's got to be important part of the process, really.
It's definitely important part of it, because a lot of my early music was just me making it completely on my own, and I look back at that music as kind of a bit immature. I don't like a lot of my own music now because of that, but. You know, I was watching an interview with Jerry Seinfeld last night, actually, and he was talking about, because he just released a book. I'm not trying to plug his book.
Not plugging his book.
Yeah. But basically, it's his stand-up from like the last like 30 years or whatever. And he was saying like, I wish I could have done so much of this stuff way better. Okay. But he was like, oh, I'm learning to give some slack to the younger me, because these are the steps that put me in a place to kind of build on a career.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I listened to these first songs and I'm like, well, they might not be that good. I needed to do that to get to the next point, to get to the next point.
Well, I see that like the same with a lot of, like, say, my early work. There's a lot of films, even like our old music videos, like the From Gold one, for example. We had absolutely nothing.
Like,
but you make do with what you got.
The video makes me cringe. Like, I think it's a beautiful video. It's really well done, but like, it's boring. No offense to you. But it's just kind of like the location. We relied completely on location and scenery, and like me being in it, I think it's unnecessary. I shouldn't have been in it. But
we're criticising videos now.
Sorry, mate.
Let's go to the next one. Let's go on to Holland then. Let's criticise.
Shit. Sorry. I'm joking. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. I appreciate.
Anyway, should we?
Yeah, I was going to say let's move on to some. Let's move on to some questions. We've had a lot of people sending them in, so thank you everyone for sending them in. I've got a few top picks.
Go on.
I'm probably going to combine these, well, first two actually, because it'll probably be easier to answer it. So the first one is, what age did you start making music? That's from Isaac in Montreal. And how did your music career start? And are you happy with how you've grown and progressed? That's from Autumn in Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah, cool, good questions. I mean, I could talk a lot about this, like where I started to kind of enjoy music and where a career started out of it, and how old I was. I guess it's weird. I was remembering something the other day where must have been about 5. My older brother was like 7, and we always used to watch Top of the Pops, and the show where it's just basically music performance for everyone who doesn't know that. And
with the instruments never plugged in.
Yeah, it was all kind of miming.
That's what I want to be.
Yeah, and there was this thing where my brother would sing along to the chorus of a song, and then when the verse kicks back in, he would sing the chorus over the verse, like just repeating it, and then it'd sync back up with the chorus. And I was like 5, and I was like, whoa.
What have you done? Magic.
What happened? What's going on here? And I was kind of like, oh, music is like a recipe, and it's like people have kind of like planned these things. They know what they're doing. It's just this weird first memory of like
deep
music.
For a 5-year-old.
Yeah, it was weird. And so I didn't really get into music properly till I was like 9 or 10, and it was because of skateboarding. And music came hand in hand with like the skate VHSs we'd watch. There'd be like Placebo and like AFI and all these like kind of rock bands on there. And I just the skateboarding kind of went to the wayside, and I just like got really into the music. And my brother started a band, and I was kind of like wanting to do what he was doing. So I was kind of learning guitar as well when I was like 12, 13, and my dad bought me a drum kit. And yeah, it was just, that completely like took over from that point. And
It's probably worth saying at this point you were primarily a drummer.
Oh yeah.
Like over anything.
Guitar was just kind of for fun, and I was like a drummer in like a bunch of bands in my hometown.
Yeah.
Up until kind of 16 when I left home. So I think when I started making music, I'd probably say I was like 12, because I got the guitar, I started writing little riffs, and I had a little like a cassette recorder, and I'd record into it, and then kind of like play the melody parts over it, and I couldn't record them on top of it, so I was just like recording like rhythm, and then just playing melodies over it on my guitar. And then, I don't know where those tapes are, I just disappeared, but it was all rubbish. And then I got this game called Music 2000 on the PlayStation, which I don't know if anyone remembered that. But it's basically you drag and drop little blocks of audio.
On the PlayStation?
Yeah.
It's like
and you just kind of make tracks,
loops.
and you can like drop it, you can like draw in your own guitar sounds, like dun, 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 dun,
really,
dun, dun.
really harsh
Yeah,
MIDI
really
sounds.
horrible sounding like that, which I think might come back actually.
Come on, Sony.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I kind of realized that that's not how music is actually made. And I got like a little Mac Mini when I was 14, and I got like Logic Pro recording software, and I just kind of was just recording rock songs for like the band I was in, and it just kind of spiraled from there. I was like, I guess I want to learn how to produce music properly. So I applied for colleges in Cardiff, and then moved here kind of as soon as I turned 16, because my hometown is like nothing there.
Yeah, that's very young, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess from that point to where I am now, there's like also quite a long journey of, I was studying music, I was like music recording, I was kind of teaching myself piano and just like a few other instruments, and I was kind of just spending most of my time just trying to make as much as I could, like loads of genres. I was making like house music and like rock music and drum and bass.
You've got a secret drum and bass track on.
No, not on the internet anywhere.
Is it not? You've taken it down. At some point, I remember you showing me, you had like a drum and bass track or like a dubstep song.
I was making so much stuff, like, cinematic stuff, like drum and bass stuff. It wasn't like I wanted to be a drum and bass artist or anything. That's not like the vibe. I wanted to be a film score composer, and that's where my college years like led me. I was really wanting to score films, and I was trying really hard. And basically, it wasn't until I was 20 and I went to America to kind of teach music at this like overnight camp. It kind of just changed everything I kind of really felt about music. I feel like I had like such a great experience there that gave me kind of inspiration to write songs and not just make music. And that's where the first EP came about, Woodgate, New York. It was kind of about that time in New York. Cool. And kind of how I felt when I came home, like everything had kind of changed for me. I'd like ended a relationship, and I was going through this kind of like early 20s kind of like, I don't know, heartbreak sort of situation. Very, very cliche, and for it to happen like that. And this is when I met you. And then I met you, and I ended up making an EP out of From Gold and a bunch of other songs. I signed that to a record label after sending so much music to blogs and stuff. Like I say, the first 2 songs I made, I'm talking a lot about this, but I moved back in with my mum when I was 21, because my time in Cardiff had kind of come to an end, it felt like. I wanted to move to London, and I wanted to kind of become a film score composer. and it just wasn't working for me. I moved back in with my mum and spent 3 months just kind of recording stuff. And at the end of the summer, I had 7 songs. I released 2 of them, and that was like the first step of Novo Amor.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like me making this new voice for myself.
So let's take it forward then to now.
Yeah.
And the second part of Autumn's question. So, are you happy with how you've grown and progressed? Then, like, are you happy with sort of how that's all come to be?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with what's happened. It's ridiculous. I feel like I've luckily ticked this combination of boxes which I never knew about to like land me in this like position I'm in, which I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy.
Amazing. Here's one from Joe, which I really liked. How do you view Llanidloes, your hometown, now? Do you look at it as a small town, like started from the bottom style, or do you still consider yourself a Llanny boy?
Like, I love my hometown, and I haven't lived there for about 14 years now. Basically, I moved because it was such a small place. There's like 2,000 people there or something. There's no opportunity to kind of study or meet new people and kind of like pursue music. So I kind of just had to get out. It wasn't because I hated that place or anything, but I guess I consider myself starting from the bottom because there was no like financial backing or anything like that, or kind of opportunities for me. I just kind of left and moved to Cardiff on my own.
It feels really poetic. I just imagine you with like one of those little sticks and like just the things on your back and just sort of going to the big city.
Yeah. No. My mum dropped me off in a car and then left me in a flat. And then, like, bye.
Off you go. Go make some music.
Yeah, I was like, living with uni students when I was like 16.
Yeah.
I don't know how they let me do that.
But I remember you put a billboard underneath the building that
I moved into.
Yeah. I don't know if
was
anyone's seen that on Instagram. You posted a picture of it. It's
like the billboard is pointless. Like this outdoor marketing right now, when no one's allowed outside, is useless. But it was kind of more of like a personal thing for me, like this kind of
good for an Instapic.
Yeah, it's for the gram,
For the gram.
maybe. It felt like a moment for me to put a billboard on the side of the building that I just first moved to Cardiff 14 years ago.
That's great. I love it. So we mentioned this earlier. This one's from Spencer. How do you push past the inevitable self-doubt of being an artist? As an aspiring musician, I always seem to struggle with that. Also, how did you get the guitar tone on Halloween?
Oh,
so
two-part. Cool. The self-doubt thing, man, it's so many creatives deal with that, don't they? I mean, you deal with it, like so many people. And
all the time.
Yeah, there's a quote I heard, actually, which helps me, it gives me a bit of comfort with it, and it was, I don't want to butcher this, so it was, perfect confidence is given as a consolation prize to those who are less talented. So it's it made me feel a bit better about my self-doubt. It was like, okay, that's fine then. I should be doubting myself. And I think it's good because it's good to question your processes and ask yourself, why am I doing something? To some degree, I guess. I mean, I don't have the answer. So just rambling on about it.
No, that's fine. But like, so in those moments when you're making a song or trying to write something, and that sort of shadow comes looming in, or the cloud comes over, and you're like, how do you fight that?
It's tough. I've had to learn to just step away. Just if I'm not feeling creative, I have to go away and do something. And this year, that period of time has extended. And I think it's because I finished an album and I didn't go on tour or anything like that. And I live in my studio. So basically, I wake up in the morning and I kind of like walk through the building, and then there's like just my studio, and that's like the only living space I really have. So when there's like days you don't want to make music, you're confronted with this like massive elephant in the room of this like piano and all these synths, and it's like
make
music, play with me, and it's like I don't want to, and like I go near it to like force it, and it just turns out rubbish, and I just get like more and more in my head about things being terrible. So I guess the answer is I don't deal with it very well.
No, you step away, don't you? And you've got
I try to.
You've got the things around you for when you do feel.
Yeah, I think people, like I'm generally not a people person, in that a lot of people who know me kind of know that I'm in a way reserved and awkward and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into that.
So let's talk about guitar tones. How did you get that one from Halloween?
It's quite interesting actually, because I demoed that song on Halloween when I wrote it, and I really loved the sound that I had from it, so I ended up like really trying to replicate that sound as much as I could. And basically, what I had done, I'd recorded it, and then it was basically through a pedal called the Chase Bliss Warped Vinyl, which is kind of like a warping pedal. Then into my Fender amp, just recorded with an SM57, if that's interesting to anyone. And I'd recorded it too slow, so basically I just time stretched the whole thing. And so basically, like, you know, sound, like every second of sound is just like snapshots of audio. There's like 48,000 snapshots within a second. So you time stretch it, and those snapshots just like expand, and it just like makes it sound a bit weird. Yeah. So I think that's what I did to it, and it's just like the right use of reverb and stuff, and it just sounded like that. Cool.
There you go. Cool. So. Here's a good one. Do you have any advice for young aspiring songwriters? This is from Luca from India and Holly from Swansea in Wales.
Well, hey, Wales. And India. So I guess it depends kind of what your end goal is. If you want to be an artist or a songwriter, I guess it's kind of two different things. If you want to write just for other people, or you want to get yourself out there as like an artist and play shows and be like forward facing. But I'd say like the best thing I've ever done my whole life as a musician is learn how to record, like produce music. And even if it's like just getting yourself like a little interface and like one microphone and just learn how to plug yourself in and play and record, just like layer things up so you can make songs. And that's kind of the best advice I can give, and just go keep doing it. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Keep Me. Can you tell us a bit about the song? What was the inspiration or story behind it? It's from Peter from Indonesia.
Keep Me. I know we haven't got much time left, so I will run through
We've got a couple of minutes.
2 minutes. So basically, Keep Me was a song that originally Ed and I wrote together for a video game. Well, we didn't finish the whole song. We kind of had like mumbles and the chords and the melody, and then I finished it for the album once the video game didn't use it.
Okay, so it's going to be like for a soundtrack.
It was meant to be for a soundtrack for a game, but they ended up picking some other songs I made, and coming out next year, hopefully. Secrets. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So, out of all your songs, which one do you get lost in, and why does it affect you in that way? This is from Britt from Florida.
Brit.
Britt.
I think Brett.
Brit.
Okay.
Flight the Conchords reference.
I don't really tend to get lost in my own music very much, apart from when I'm making it. Like, when it's out there, it's kind of for other people. Like, I have a different experience to my music than you have to my music.
Yeah.
So, like, you might get lost in someone else's music or my music, and I have those artists for me. So, like, you know, I tend to, like, listen to my music when I'm making it, like, lie on the floor with my headphones on and, like, try and immerse myself in it, like, especially, like, Stuck to a Woman or something like that, where you really want to feel, like, the vibe it's trying to give you. So, no. We have 30 seconds.
We have 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. I guess. So I guess I'll wrap it up.
Maybe wrap it up. Sorry we didn't get to all the questions.
Yeah, there's a lot more questions. Sorry to get through to all of them, so I'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you stay on this link, it's going to automatically take you to the film that's going to be premiering after this. So don't go anywhere. It'll automatically take you through. And don't forget to donate to WWF. There's the button in the top-hand corner. So thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Yeah, bye from Ali, bye from me.
It's done.
Thanks very much. We're done. Thank you very much.
Cool.
And we'll do that thing that newsreaders do when we're not still on the screen.